It were right gradely. Hey up! Welcome back. It's been that wet of late that just about everything's about as sodden as it can be, and 1 minute you're on a bit of dry road and you think you're all hunky-dory, and then you're round a bend and road's piss wet through and it's got osh shite on it and muck off at the farms and God knows what else. So any road up, couldn't put it off any longer. If you don't ride, it screws with your brain. It screws with your brain if you don't ride. So here we are, middle of November, a couple of weeks it'll be first day of winter. And psychologically, at this miserable, depressing, ball-aching time of year, hey, what I try to do is I try to think in terms of the fact that in a month's time, because I'm recording this on the 21st of November, in a month's time we'll turn the corner and days start getting gradually longer again. You don't really notice it for a month or so, but it does happen there, because that'd be the winter solstice on or around the 21st, and thereafter of course we all pivot to the days getting longer. And then we get to last weekend in March, and then clocks go forward again, which is even better. So that's my my coping mechanism, if you will. Now then, oh, and thanks for all your very kind comments on the last two videos. The one about what's a sensible bike for an older rider, and all the thoughts that go with it, and then the somewhat philosophical one about why we buy bikes, think they're fantastic, and then move them on. Well, some of us do. I do. I'm a bugger for it. But anyway, so I'm out on Super Meteor today, and I'm still perfectly happy here. And the sound of that engine's quite intoxicating. I'm just going to take you on a nice little scenic route, and you'll be relieved to know that I'll probably stop jabbering at some point and just let you take in the Yorkshire scenery. But thank you, I've had some wonderful, wonderful comments from, well, right across the globe. You know, from this country obviously, but from Scotland, from Wales, from Ireland, from France, from Spain, from the United States, from Australia, from New Zealand. Talk about global reach. Global reach from the little sleepy town of Bingley. Hey, right across the globe, hands across the globe. Yeah, so it's great to hear from you wherever you're from, and 99.9% of the comments are positive. Hey, but 0.01% of them are not, I think it's fair to say. I don't delete critical comments, because I think, you know, some people out there are just being your critical friend, and they might occasionally just get the way they sort of, shall we say, frame their comments at first sight. It can sort of get you back up. You've got to take a step back and think, oh, hang on a minute, there might be something in this for me. So I'll reply to negative comments as well, usually asking for a bit of clarification for my own benefit, edification and further education in the great world of YouTube content creation. But some of them are plain obnoxious. I tell you what got folks back up, or a few folks back up, when I dared to suggest that the BSA Goldstar were a better looking bike than the Interceptor. Whoa! Well, I should have known it were going to attract a lot of, shall we say, spirited debate. But anyway, I stand by what I said. I do think it's a better looking bike, but what you've got to accept is that from that point of view, things that you like, that you either see or you hear, smell, taste, feel even, it's as subjective as it gets. And one person's beautiful bike is another person's dog's breakfast of a bike, isn't it? And nobody's right, nobody's wrong. So I don't know why, but a couple of folks, I had to delete the comments, they were that bloody rude. Someone said, you're just talking bullshit, you're full of piss and wind. Well, that's not, I don't agree with any of those comments actually, at all. But I'm just wondering what sort of person actually just, instead of, you know, if you see something on YouTube and you don't like it for whatever reason, but you've nothing actually constructive to say, why would you waste sort of 30 seconds typing out something like that? You gotta have a bloody screw loose, haven't you? Why would you bother doing that, you know? If you drop on something on YouTube and you watch it and you think, oh, that was a load of shite, I didn't enjoy that, just move on. just go watch something else. Oh dear, oh Lord. I just laugh at them now and then I delete them and block them from channel, because it's just so, there are some trolls out there. Right, I've just hit 6,000 subscribers today. Wonderful, thank you so much all of you. And even more thanks to those people that were kind enough to double check their subscription and find that the YouTube prankster algorithm had unsubscribed them. There seems to be a fair bit of that. But what I will say to you is this, if you think that might be happening to you, just double check, because this is something I've done before. It's really easy to do, particularly on a smart TV. The icon of subscribe, unsubscribe, that icon, all it says really, if you go to it, is subscribe so that you can subscribe, or it'll say subscribed, just one letter, one more letter, a D, subscribed. And I've done it in the past where you just quickly look and you don't read it as subscribed, you read it as subscribe. And so you think, oh bloody hell, I've been unsubscribed. So then you click on subscribed with a D and it'll unsubscribe you. Hey! It's a bit poor, is that YouTube. You need to, particularly on smart TVs, you need to be taking a look at that. So just check you haven't fallen into the same trap as me doing that. Oh, I've missed my bastard turn off. Let me turn off. We need to turn round down here. Bear with. Too busy jabbering away. Talking piss and wind, and missed me turn off to Norrid there, because I need to be down there for where I'm going to take the. Right, let's see. A lot of folk think it's a poor turning circle on super meter, but let me reassure you that it's perfectly adequate to the task, and this is a fairly narrow bit of road here. Aye, so that may be one of the reasons. I'm not saying it is the reason, but you might just want to just check that you haven't been doing what I've been doing, and bloody clicking on what I thought says is subscribe and unsubscribing. So, but yes, thank you ever so much to all of you who've subscribed and continue to subscribe, and thank you for all your positive and supportive comments. And I'm conscious that them the last sort of 2 or 3 videos have probably been a little bit retrospective, a little bit, you know, me indulging in a little bit of nostalgia. But I love looking back through rose-tinted spectacles about my sort of lived experience back in, I suppose, my earliest memories as a child of sort of in the late 60s probably, and then obviously through into the 70s and 80s. 90s doesn't seem like it's in the past to me, to be honest with you, in a lot of respects, because it ain't far enough back, even though it's 30 years ago. Yeah. And I was sort of thinking, oh, what you know, what the popular bikes were in the 60s, what they were in the 70s, what they were in the 80s. And I mean, my motorcycle started in the early 1980s, and back then it were all about the sports bikes, the racing bikes, the Gixxers and the Kawasaki GPZs of this world, the early Yamaha R1s, if indeed they were came about in the 80s, might have been 90s, but you know what I mean. It were all about sports bikes, and the number of touring bikes were few and far between, to be fair. A number of adventure bikes, I don't think they'd really come into existence to the degree that they merited that categorisation until much later. I think BMW were the first, but other than that, it were either a road bike or it were a trials bike, basically. If you remember those heady days, you could get touring bikes, mainly from BMW, like the R80 RT, R100 RT, back in the day. And I think somebody mentioned that I think it was Kieran at Eddie's Motorcycles, because he's got an R100 RT in there from the 80s, and he was saying the R80 RT, which was my police motorcycle, with a better engine, and I'll take his word for it, but they were the touring bikes. That's what you had. The only other options, and not many police forces went down this route, were the Norton Interpols with the Wankel engine, the rotary engine. Yeah, so interesting stuff. And then of course, I don't know, into 90s, I mean, Pan-European came along in early 1990s, ST1100, and cops like to, you know, police forces like to buy them, more so they did than the ST1300 latterly. I think it's fair to say they went back to BMW, certainly in my force, West Yorkshire. It's a bit gloomy today, I hope the picture's alright. I bet this screen now, it's filthy, but it's really pissing off your view, isn't it? I'll clean it up before we get to anywhere scenic. But yeah, I think back to cars I had in the 80s. Back in the 1980s, my cars were mainly Ford Cortinas. I had two Mark IIIs, and 3 Mark 5s, 4 Mark 5s. I had 4 Mark 5 Cortinas, not at the same time, of course. But I did have 2 1600s, and then I got 2 the 2.3 V6 Cortinas. And then around about 1985 I splashed out and I got a Vauxhall Royale. Anybody remember them? A Vauxhall Royale. It was the top of the range Vauxhall. So the Vauxhalls, they did the little Chevette, and then up to the Astra, and then Cavalier, then the Carlton, Vauxhall Carlton, then the Vauxhall Viceroy, and then top of the range Vauxhall Royale. And I got one of them in metallic red. Beautiful, beautiful machine, beautiful bit of kit, that car. But as I said in that last video, you get something, you think it's all you ever wanted and all you're ever gonna want, and of course hey, you get bored and you move on. Pissing down now, this wasn't forecast. What else were there back then in the 90s? Of course, them were days. Hey, oh, there were no internet back then, were there? Back in 1990s, no internet. Not in the early 90s anyway. And so if you were a bit pervy, which I never was, of course, but as a young man, if you wanted your thrills, it's not like now you can go online if you're so inclined. Hey, I notice even old James Cleverly, former Foreign Secretary, now Home Secretary, was quite happy to accept that he watches online porn. Very full marks for honesty, lad. But well, you couldn't back in 1990s, but what they had, if you remember, they had the 0898 numbers, and you get newspapers like, you know, but toilet paper tabloids basically, and they were like Daily Star and Sun and Daily Sport. That was the one, wasn't it? Daily Sport, yeah. Cow found on moon and all of that sketch. The sort of dumbed down version of the Fortean Times. And so to give you a bit of a wipe here, if I can bloody find you, there you go. Might have made it worse. Aye, so yeah, any road up. No, so back then you had these 0898 numbers, didn't you? And you'd ring them up, and there'd be some it'd be some sweatshop in middle of Latvia or somewhere, wouldn't it? Hey, with all these women on landlines. And it'd be a premium line. It'd cost you something like I don't know, because I never used them, of course, but it'd cost you something like 50 pence a minute on this. So it was always a bit dodgy using it. You'd have to intercept bloody phone bill coming through letterbox, wouldn't you? So Mrs. didn't see it. That's what you'd have to do. And I never had to do that, of course. But yeah, so it was something like 50 pence a minute. Hey, and you could ring up and some woman, because there were no AI or like that. You know, no synthetic voicing. And yeah, talk dirty to you for as long as you could afford it, basically, at 50 pence a minute. Oh Lord, should have called it dialer wank. Hey, yeah, dialer wank. Oh dear. Hey, things you remember. Right, now, if you're in this neck of the woods and you need to fill up with fuel, and of course you'll be putting in E5, not that E10 pig piss. Don't put that in unless you have to You're putting in E5 and it's 99 octane because it's Shell V-Power, so it's Shell Garage in Pooling Wharfdale. And if that goes there, we have a fantastic hot counter. And today I selected from their smorgasbord of pastry delights this here festive roll. I don't know what's festive about November. But anyway, half the pubs have got Christmas trees in, so I assume that's what it's all about. Nice warm pastries. Excellent selection you've got there. Quite reasonably priced too. So, if you're in the vicinity of Pooling Wharfdale, and you need to fill up, and you feel you know, you're a bit peckish if you're absolutely Hank Marvin, just get to their hot plate before you pay for your fuel and select a delightful little pastry. Right, I've had my festive roll. I can commend that to you. Yeah, it was, well, it was a posh sausage roll basically with some cranberries in it. Hey, I want no turkey or sprouts or pigs in blankets, I don't like that, but any road up. It were eat gradely and a cut above what you would normally expect from a filling station. Alright, that's it for today. Just a bit of a ramble. But I've got to keep trying to the very, very best that I can to get out 2 videos a week right through the winter period. I'm going to do my best for you, but I can't guarantee they're all going to be gold standard. But what I will say is I won't just put bollocks out for the sake of it. I don't like doing that, and I don't like doing voiceovers on old B-roll. Particularly, I feel like I'm cheating. But sometimes the weather's so bad at this time of year that there ain't much option. And I'd rather voice over a B-roll with something interesting than go out in the car and try and wax lyrical while driving the car around the Orchard Dales, because it's not the same, is it? So yeah, if you watched this far, thank you for so doing. Until the next time, ride safe, be kind, and I'll see you.